Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the Caldwell County Department of Social Services Board meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, June 30th, 4:30 p.m. We had a closed session, and we're now into our general meeting. So our meeting is in order now, and we'll start. We had our closed session, and next on the agenda is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Will Wakefield.
You stand and face the flag for our Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll have the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time to come together and to work on how we can better serve those in need in our community. I thank you for these board members who come and give of their time and their efforts to serve this community. I thank you for our staff. Pray that you would help us to do our best to help those who are in need, to help those who are struggling. We pray for those individuals, whether it is problems they may be having with income, with medical issues. We pray for those who are struggling with illness. And we just ask that you would guide us in all that we do to assist those in need. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. And I would like to tell anybody viewing from home that if you happen to hear some noise in the background, we're doing some construction upstairs, so you may hear some buzzing and some hammering and things of that nature. So that's what that is. So we apologize for that, and we'll try to get through this meeting without a lot of interruption here. Next on the agenda is amendments from the Board of Directors. I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is I need a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, or excuse me, current meeting.
I move that they be approved as written.
Need a second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is number 6. Number A is going to be Adult Protective Services, Beverly Rupert, Supervisor. Hello.
Hello,
Beverly,
how are y'all today?
Doing great.
Okay. June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So I'm kind of after the fact, but I think it's important that we discuss it and discuss our EPS so that, you know, people are aware of the abuse and things that happen to older Americans. World Elder Abuse was launched on June 15th, 2016. That's when they decided to have the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. The day was created to provide an opportunity for communities around the world to promote a better understanding and raise awareness about the millions of older adults who experience abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. 1 in 10 American senior citizens are abused or neglected each year, but only 1 in 14 cases gets reported. Elder abuse can be physical or psychological harm, and it can also manifest through exploitation. Older Americans lose $2.6 billion annually due to elder financial exploitations. These are funds that can be used to pay for basic needs such as housing, food, and medical care. And we're finding that financial exploitation is on the rise. There are other types of exploitation, such as someone's medicines, or just taking things from them, but financial is on the rise. I'm going to tell you real quickly about a case we had that's really touched on this, and it's really affected me. It was just, we had a client who was low functioning. He had lived with his parents all of his life. His parents had him set up to where his care would never be an issue when something happened to them. Well, both of his parents passed, and they had left a POA of him to manage finances to ensure that, you know, the money was spent correctly, the properties were maintained, and he would have what he needed. but the POA exploited him, left him with nothing. Now he's in a facility, and it's just a shame because he could have been one of the few people who could have stayed at his home for a very long time, as long as his health would allow. And now he's in a facility, and actually, he's our ward now because the family didn't want anything to do with him after he had nothing left. So that's a very sad case. Now, we do have positive outcomes. We had a lady who was living with her grandchildren. They were exploiting her. We were able to go in and help her. She wanted to go into placement. She's into placement. And there's a local attorney who's now managing her money. So that was a good outcome, you know. But it's scary when you think about the cases that are not reported and the people that are losing everything. You know, you work hard all your life for your money and your assets and hopes to be taken care of when you're older. Abuse and exploitation occurs in every demographic and can happen to anyone, a family member, a neighbor, even you. North Carolina law mandates that local departments of social services provide protective services to all adults who are disabled by evaluating their need for protective services and arranging for those services when they're needed. When you have a concern, we encourage everyone to call our intake line. There is a screening criteria that the state has that has to be met in order for a report to be screened in. But my theory is, even if you feel like it won't be screened in, call us and let us know anyway what's going on, because there are other services that we can offer. Maybe the family just needs information to better care for the adult, or they may just need some guidance. We have 3 APS social workers, and we also have an outreach social worker. So calls that come in that may not meet the criteria to be screened in, a lot of times we'll let our outreach services social worker go out there. She'll assess them, and she can help with services to keep it from being an APS report or to keep the person from being neglectful or abused or exploited. Neglect is the most commonly reported as well as the most commonly confirmed. There are 2 types of neglect, self-neglect and caretaker neglect. Of the 2, self-neglect is the most common, which self-neglect can be someone's supposed to be on medications, they're not taking them, they're not bathing, they're not going to dialysis. It can be something of that. And then caretaker neglect means there's someone that has taken the responsibility to care for you, and they're not doing that job. They're supposed to be bathing you, cooking you meals, getting your groceries, and they're not doing those things. And as a result, you're suffering from that. Over the past 5 years, we've screened in an average of 276 reports. That averages 23 reports a month. And then we also average 4 to 5 outreach cases per month. Now, that doesn't include the ones we screened out or just the information calls. I would estimate that our APS intake worker probably takes between 50 and 60 calls a month. Just answering questions, doing referrals, that type of thing. Like I said, we have 3 APS social workers, a services or outreach social worker, and then Jean, who does our intake. We have to have someone available 24/7. So we have our intake line at DSS Monday through Friday, holidays and weekends. We can be reached through the Sheriff's Department. So a report can be made 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I do have these little bookmarks I gave to Will. He can give them to you after the meeting. They're really, I thought it had good information about how a elder or senior citizen should be treated, and then the signs that something's not right. And then it has our intake, our direct line to intake on there. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? I know I went kind of fast.
Beverly, I'd like to ask on the situation that you mentioned. Please tell me that the person who took it or whatever is in jail somewhere, and that he had to pay back. No?
No.
Why?
Well, for one, a power of attorney has the authority
That's right.
to do what they want to. And it's very, very hard for us to get enough information for the Sheriff's Department or the police to press charges. We can get enough to confirm our case and go to court and do guardianship, but for law enforcement, it usually takes more. Because, like I said, the
That power of
POA,
attorney's- that
you're
power of
giving them the
attorney's very
right
powerful. Yeah,
to do what they want to with that money.
it's unfortunate, but that power of
Remind
attorney.
me, I don't want a power of attorney.
Yeah. I'll let you.
Now, there are cases where they have been prosecuted.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
You
sure.
know, they don't get the money back.
Have you guys, I know it's fairly early, I think we started the community paramedics hit the street about April or May. Have you guys been coordinating with them, and have they sent any cases to you or potential cases to you?
I
Or-
do not know off the top of my head. We have met with him. His link is Jessica, our services and outreach social
Uh-huh.
worker. She is his point of contact.
Perfect.
So they've met and they've emailed. Now, whether we've seen any cases from that.
But they are connected.
Yes, they are connecting, yes.
That's my concern, because I think there's a lot of opportunity.
I'm so excited about that program.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's,
what we need.
I think that's going to be a great way for us to connect a lot of our citizens who, you know, so many times, it's not, the citizens just don't know any different. I mean, they just fall through the crack. They just
Yeah.
don't know where to go. They have a problem. They don't understand how to get the problem solved. And I'm really excited. I'm thinking these community paramedics are going to be a great tie-in with Will. Will's a big part of that.
Actually, we
decision to
did
get
have a
that done.
case about 2 weeks ago on a Friday evening that we went out on, and they were going to do a referral to the, EMS had to come out with us, and they were going to do a referral to the community paramedics program.
Perfect.
But that is just be fantastic, because we have so many, I hate to use the term frequent flyers, but we have a lot of frequent flyers, not by their fault. But
Right.
it may be someone who, you know, has capacity, they live alone, and they keep filing, and we're trying everything to put services in place, but they just need a little extra more. And I think with that program, it's going to be that little extra that they need.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be, I mean, I'd like to see it take off running tomorrow, but, you know, I got to be realistic too. I
Yeah.
think it's going to take some time, you know, for us to really see an impact. We may be looking at, you know, a good 12 months before we can really go
Right.
back and see that, hey, this really made a difference here. But
Right.
I know they've done a lot of things already. They've built some wheelchair ramps, and they've done some other things, you know, so I know that,
Yeah,
I know
he-
it's working. It's just going to take a little time. So
Right.
but I did want to make sure that your folks were
Yes, like I
connected
said,
with
his
them.
contact person is Jessica, and I
Perfect.
think she's actually, because she's the whiz at all the services out there.
Yeah.
And she actually, I think, was making him a notebook and stuff for him. So yeah, they're working together.
Fantastic.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, great job.
Okay.
And thank you for all you do.
thank you.
Are you going to show our little?
Well, I told him if I went over 10 minutes not to
Okay.
show it. But,
Oh, we
okay.
got time.
This is just something kind of funny we thought we'd show. A local, it's not a local one here, but a Council on Aging did this video for Elder Awareness Day. Tell me what happened.
Can't hear it. Can't hear it.
Hear it. I did tell Will I'd love to get with our sheriff's department and make a video like that next year. I thought it was really
That would be great.
It was really catchy.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you so much.
So great job, everyone.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda in our reports is going to be foster children graduates. Melinda Price, Supervisor.
Hello, good
Hello.
afternoon. This is one of my favorite things to talk about is the high school graduates. We have 8 this year,
Awesome.
which is a really high number. And since they couldn't be here, we put a PowerPoint presentation in place so you can see them. And I just want to say it's a big, big accomplishment for these kids because they've been in multiple schools, multiple placements. Not all of them, but some of them have. So, you know, we're just really proud of them, the ones that are graduating. I think we have 2 that are going on to college. So
Awesome.
that's fabulous.
That's
too.
great.
Did they
So-
have difficulty with the way the end of school was taught? Were they?
Oh, at the end of the year?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm sure there were some challenges, but most schools, you know, if you don't have laptops or Chromebooks, they tried to work with them. So they all were successful. So just going to run through this PowerPoint. And
If you click the little arrow,
right here?
yeah, and he did the first one, but you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to read. And this is a young lady who did have to move schools probably in March when everything was going crazy, but she made it. And she's already working, but I guess she'll be maybe looking for a better job. And this is a young lady that came so far. So she's one that's going to be going to college. She wants to be a nurse.
That's awesome.
He's also going to college. He's had a somewhat stable placement, graduated with a 4.0.
Wow.
Is this the young man with the motocross, or is that? Okay. Say, maybe tell him just a brief bit
Oh,
about.
yeah. He's been placed with Black Mountain Children's Home in Black Mountain near Asheville. And he's been there for a number of years. His whole high school career, he was there, middle school too, I think. And they have just really worked with him. He does motocross. I can't think do you know what it's called? It's like a group that they all go and they do
Yeah.
motocross and
Yeah,
different
he's
things.
participated in that for
a number of
a number of years, and that's just been really, it's really
Great.
been, I think, helpful for him to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And he's worked maintenance there, and they're going to go ahead and let him move into their independent living program prior to being 18 because they feel like he's so responsible.
That's
and
great.
so he's going on to school, and he's going to major in recreation, and who knows, he may work at a group home one day.
Yeah, yeah.
This is Jonathan. I guess that was it. All right.
Well, that's great.
The ones that are not going off to school, will they be out of foster care now?
Well, most of this group is going to stay until they're 21. So that we'll continue to work with them, give them some stability. So,
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that presentation, and we'd like to congratulate these young men and women on their graduation, and please take back our thoughts and prayers to them and wish them the best of luck.
sure.
Unfortunately, they couldn't be here because of the COVID. We generally have a nice little luncheon, or I guess a little get together, and bring them in and recognize them and feed them and stuff. So we weren't able to do that this year. So, but do please take back our congratulations to those, and we wish them the best of luck.
We will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is monthly updates. Our financial report is going to be given to us by Mr. Chris Conley, our business manager. Hello, Chris.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Okay, looking at our May 2020 financial report, reimbursements for the month totaled $813,242. Our receivables at the end of the month were about $1,166,000. Expenses for the month totaled $1,007,447. So our county dollar expense for the month came in at $194,205. And underneath that figure, you'll see a little new section we added to the report this month based on your recommendation last month, kind of doing a comparison year-to-date to where we were at the same time last year. Our expenses in the current year are just about $100,000 above last year at this time. The county dollar expense is much higher, but simply because some revenues didn't come in May as expected. So, and that amount was $732,613. So had those revenues come in during May, we'd only be about $70,000 above last year in our county dollar. But those revenues, and I also wanted to point out, those revenues included a portion of those revenues that should have come in May. Last year, they came in June, during the 13th month period. So, whereas I'm telling you we're only about $70,000 above through May in our county dollar year-to-date compared to last year, I think we're going to end the year about $200,000 above last year as far as our county dollar usage.
You know what, primarily where that's at, where that's coming from?
Probably the biggest factor is the fact that last year, the salary study, we only had that expense for 6 months. It went into effect in January, whereas this year.
Kind of thought that was the case, but I just wanted to make sure.
We have, the full year. But not only the salary study, but also the county's contribution for health insurance and employee retirement increased this year as well. And that's a portion of it as well.
Okay.
Do you have any questions regarding the report?
Anybody got any questions?
No.
Chris, as always, I appreciate what you do, my friend, and you do a great job, and thank you for keeping us on track and making sure that we ain't overspending. So y'all do a fantastic job over there, and we appreciate what you do, and thank you a whole lot.
Thank you. We enjoy what we do.
I know there's a few people out there I don't recognize, but next on our agenda is supposed to be Children's Services highlights, Miss Kim Arnett, but unless she's in behind a mask or something, I don't recognize her.
She had to step away, and I will do her report, but if I could also do our director's report, I'll do that real quick.
That's fine, yeah.
From the director's side of things, I just want to let you know that as most of you are aware, we are back to basically 50% of staff in the office. So we are working where a good number of our staff are out of the office, and then we have probably about 50% in office, and that's that's been certainly important from a distancing standpoint. We are still administering all of our services like normal, so those processes are still going on. Nothing has changed in that regard. I want to talk just a little bit about personal protective equipment, PPE. There's a lot of work in and around PPE right now through emergency services, through the health department. Our staff need personal protective equipment, and so we are working with the emergency services to attain that. There are several different other avenues that's coming in through. We are going to receive a one-time shipment from the state that was specifically for social services, and that's something that was just put in place. So that will be helpful to the county as a whole, because then when we receive that shipment, then we don't have to ask our emergency management folks for equipment that they've already got, and we can continue to build up our equipment for the county. So that's certainly been important. The status, the state declared that our protective services staff also fell under emergency responders status, and so that's been helpful because now when we request PPE, we can put that in that request, and potentially that may help us also to get some of those, some of that equipment that maybe before we would not have been up at the top and been able to receive that equipment. So, you know, we know looking ahead, the county's really trying to build up the amount of PPE that we can, you know, stockpile. All counties are doing that right now because we don't know, you know, we don't know where we're headed. We don't know how long that's going to be. And, you know, we need to have that protective equipment, not only for our staff, but also in certain situations like with foster children and foster parents where we're mandated to provide visits and those types of things that we are getting into now. We also have to make sure that we provide that equipment to them so that when we have those visits, that can be done safely. So I just want to kind of let you know that that's something that we do in coordination with our emergency management and continuing to keep us supplied. From a personnel standpoint, we've really done well when it comes to turnover. Really, this whole year we've done well. Certainly over the past several months we've done well, and so that's a good thing. We really only have one position technically that we're recruiting for, and I believe we're actually getting ready to hire for that position. So we've done well from a personnel standpoint, and that's a good thing. Kim had to step out, and so I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about some of her highlights for children's services. May was National Foster Care Month and Foster Parent Appreciation Month, and so we didn't get to have our normal processes that we would normally do for some of our foster parents. Typically, we like to have a little celebration. We invite them to come to some sort of event, whether it's Bo's or what have you, but obviously we weren't able to do that. So what we did do was pull together a little kind of a gift bag, I don't know that you'd call it a basket, but kind of a gift bag of some things that we were taking to our foster parents for them and for the children. We just wanted to kind of say a thank you to them for the work that they do and let them know that we appreciate all that they do, especially during this time. Our foster parents, you know, even in normal times when you're foster parenting and just dealing with those children and all of the things that you've got to do that we expect from them and the needs of those children. But, you know, you take that and then you put it in a time like this where maybe the children are home more because of school or childcare issues or what have you around COVID, then, you know, we're even asking more of them. And so we really do appreciate our foster parents. And so we wanted to give them a little something to say thank you for their work. So we are in the process of doing that, and we're trying to do that in a personal way where several of us are meeting them or going to their home, but staying distant as well, but giving them that little gift bag and just saying a thank you, because we do believe that is certainly important. Of course, with our graduates this year, we are certainly proud of them. I wanted to mention one specific thing around some of our staff and the work that they do and around our personal protective equipment that I was just talking about. With some of our visits that take place, the court-ordered visits, we have to do a lot of transportation of those children. Sometimes we even have to transport some of those parents. So now, if you can imagine in this day and time, you're transporting someone, you're putting them in the vehicle with you. Typically, that's not something we would do, but that's something that we have to do at different times to make those visits happen. So we have worked with emergency management, and we worked with our staff in getting the appropriate PPE, N95 masks, having those individuals who are driving fit tested, ensuring that we take any number of precautions to make sure that when we do those visits, when we take people, transport them, put them in the vehicle with our staff, that we're doing that appropriately, taking those precautions. If we ever have any issue with someone being sick, any issue with someone having any kind of symptoms, then obviously we're not going to have that visit. We're not going to do that transportation. But right now, most of those programs are kind of getting back into gear because those children, for several months, they haven't been visiting with their parents. And so we need them to be visiting with their parents. We need to be assessing those situations because that's important for children, either A, determining can they be reunified with their parents, or is that not going to be the decision? And so court order-wise, we have to do that, but those are some of the precautions that we are taking and making sure that we protect our staff and we protect those children and those families as well. We continue to do well when it comes to the number of adoptions that we've completed. You'll see that in foster care right now, we do have 141 children currently in foster care, and then we have 13 children who fall into that foster care, 18 to 21, and we did finalize 6 adoptions. So staff continue to do a really good job in those areas, and we certainly appreciate those staff, and again, we appreciate those foster parents and those adoptive parents. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
So how is, I know you had mentioned earlier, our employees working from home. How's that going? Are we seeing success with that? Can you tell us a little bit how that's going?
We are. A number of the staff that are working from home are social workers.
Right.
And so for a social worker to work from home, they're out and about in the field anyway. So, their home is their office. They go back home, but then, when they go do their visits and their investigations and those types of things, then they're just leaving their home and they're going out and doing their work. We do a lot of virtual meetings now, and so we've gotten in the habit of that. Supervisors continue to meet up virtually. Sometimes those staff will come into the office, but they do continue to meet up virtually with those staff, keep up with what's going on, and making sure that we're understanding what's taking place within their caseload. Within our economic services area, we don't have as many staff that are working from home because from a technology standpoint, that's a little bit tougher to do, but we still do have a number of those staff who are working from home as well. In this day and age, and Donnie and I have talked about this a lot, we understand what work is being done based on the technology that we use, the reports that we have, and as cases matriculate through our systems. And so we know when work is getting done, we know when work is not getting done, we know when deadlines are being met. So, right now, we are operating as we would normally operate. And it really, we have to handle some of our processes a little bit differently, but it doesn't change what we do, and it doesn't change the fact that work has to get done.
So you're not seeing a difference in the quality of work? I mean, quantity of work is being produced and quality of work is being produced?
I think in some situations, we've had some folks who have really produced beyond, in working at home, have produced beyond what they produced when they were in the office because they're sitting there, they're focused on their work, and they're just able to go at it. So
Yep. Good.
That has worked well for us.
Good. And sorry for skipping over you there.
That's okay.
All right. Anything else? Anybody got any questions for Will? Next on the agenda is Adult and Family Support Services highlights. Ms. Martha Hedrick, Income Maintenance Administrator.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So looking at the numbers for the month, our food nutrition services and Medicaid, we have seen an increase over the last couple of months. Of course, that's due to the pandemic going on. We've had a lot of extra people applying for food nutrition services. And with the emergency policy that the Department of Health put in place, anybody that was currently on Medicaid could not be terminated. Theirs just continued to extend through the following month whenever the state of emergency is lifted. So those numbers have risen, but the workers have just, continued to cross-train to help work in whichever program might be increased at that time. The teleworking has actually helped several of our workers to not only, produce more of the quality, but actually quantity as well in the areas that we've needed it. So they have really, I commend them for the way that they've kind of excelled through that and kind of persevered through some of the numbers that some of our programs have had, especially for food nutrition services intake. I did want to talk to you a little bit about the PEBT program. That is the EBT program that was put in place by the state for kids that were on the free and reduced lunch program through the state of North Carolina. If they were on a food nutrition case or not, they received a one-time paper a food stamp card that would come in the parent's name or whoever was listed as their primary contact on their school paperwork. And they received benefits for the last couple of months that they were not in school to help provide some food at home, since they were used to getting those meals at school, breakfast and lunch. So we have had several of ours contacting us, thanking us for helping to work through that program. We have a lot of our workers getting thank you calls from some, very grateful parents that did not know otherwise. They're going to the schools and getting, but sometimes that's just not enough. Sometimes you have your child at home and the child will eat more at home than they're going to at school. So they're going and doing the curbside pickup, but also the EBT card was just a little bit extra to help get them through. And then, of course, we'll have the summer feeding program where they'll be able to pick up at particular locations throughout the county that has already started. We have had several cases, though, where we've had contact of people not getting the cards. So we're working with those families and getting the cards redistributed. And the last batch of those cards actually just went out about a week and a half ago. So I think that was very helpful for our county as a little bit of an extra fund to come back in and go into some of our grocery stores. So I think that was a huge plus for us. We're continuing to work on training right now since some programs are in a little bit of a lull. They've not had recertifications to do because they've been extended by the state and automatically recertified for us. So we've been trying to up our training a little bit to make sure that when everything starts ramping back up, that we're prepared and everybody is staying current on the policy and everybody knows exactly what to implement, because we have had several changes to make sure everything is lined up properly for the COVID. Beginning July 1st, we actually will start keying Medicaid and food stamp reviews again. They have been being extended for us by the state. Medicaid has actually been keying already because we kind of wanted to get a head start and make sure that we could, stay caught up and in a good place. But that's going to become a requirement effective tomorrow. So we're preparing to get started on keying those. We actually had a pretty good line when I left this afternoon of people going ahead and starting to turn in their paperwork. So we're working on getting prepared for that. And we are starting to see a little bit of an increase of clients coming in, especially about the last 3 weeks. So we're continuing to work on, changing the way that our lobby is fitted, making sure that we have up proper signage, everything is staying current and updated, that we're keeping everything 6 feet apart, and that everything is up to compliance standards and where it needs to be. The workers have done a phenomenal job making sure that we're seeing clients, behind some type of barrier where they can still keep confidentiality, but make sure the client feels comfortable when they come in and need something. Our customer service staff have done a wonderful job trying to do as much as they can on the workers' behalf, so we don't have a cluster of people at the front desk and that the workers can continue working in the back. But we are starting to see an increase, so as we continue to see an increase, we'll continue to make movements and see what we can do to try to keep those protective barriers in place. Will and Mary and I have met once to talk about some ideas that we're fielding, so we're just going to continue to move as we need to move.
Are we still taking temperatures before they come in?
Yes, sir.
Good.
And asking all of the symptom questions.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Have
I
you
was just
guys,
going to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add that, and for the, for this people watching the show, that we are still pushing that, sure, you can come in and get services, but most anything that needs to be done, you can call, you can do that online. And so we want people to be aware of that, that for basically anything, you don't have to come into the agency. We're still going to work with you, but if you can call, you can do it online, then we certainly want people to be aware that that is still available and we can work with you that way.
I will, I know that from a staff standpoint, you guys have done a lot of virtual meetings. Have y'all began using Zoom, or have you ever considered using Zoom or looking at that from a client standpoint?
I've had one team to start using Zoom.
It's a great tool. We use it. It's addictive. I mean, I've had 3 Zoom meetings today. I mean, and they really are. They're pretty cool. I mean, it's almost like you're there with them. You know.
I've had one group to start using Zoom. I'm not sure about child welfare. I think they're probably using.
We use Zoom or some other similar technologies. We can do certain foster care visits by Zoom, where our staff may not physically go and do that visit, but we can do it by Zoom with that foster child. And then certainly in-house, as Martha was saying, a lot of our meetings are some sort of, whether it's Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever, like we've used before, some sort of virtual meeting. And
I guess I'm looking for more from a client
Like
standpoint.
from a client standpoint?
If somebody wants to call in, would there be an opportunity to utilize technology to talk to that client versus having them come down to the office? I mean, obviously the client would have to have the
Right.
resources to do that, but I mean, really all you got to have is a computer. If you got a computer, then generally speaking, you can do a Zoom meeting.
True.
something
Economic
to throw out there
service
at
wise, we've not really had anybody ask to do anything like that I'm aware
Yeah.
of. We have seen a huge increase, though, in the online application process.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since they have the energy application on there now.
Yeah.
But for an instance, normally on any given month for food nutrition services, on application, we would probably get 30, maybe the highest about 50. In April, we got over 400.
Wow.
So people are really starting to go to other options and avenues so that they're not having to come in. We're doing anything we can to complete the paperwork for them and mail it just for a signature. We've had people that just drive by and call and say, hey, I'm out in the parking lot. And the workers run out to the parking lot with their mask and PPE and have them sign the paperwork. Anything we can do to keep them safe, keep the workers safe, and get the work done quickly so that they can get the benefit quickly. So that would be a good one to add to the arsenal.
Yeah,
Well, I just challenge you guys to always be looking at technology. How can we, be more efficient and keep ourselves safe and keep the employees and the citizens safe by using technology?
Absolutely.
Because there's a plethora of opportunities in technology to do that with, so.
Absolutely.
and I think that's something that we can, because we have that availability, and we can set it up to where if someone wants to communicate that way, they communicate through our technology. Therefore, they are not, they're not having to pay for it or whatever. We've got
Right.
it. So yeah, I think we can.
You
look
would
at that.
you would dial into them
Right.
versus them dialing into you.
Yeah, so we can
And I think
certainly.
you can get, I think it's 40 minutes is free.
Free out of Zoom, yes.
Pretty sure Zoom's 40 minutes to Zoom is free. So,
I think it's 45 minutes.
might be.
I think it's 45.
Yep.
I've been on Zoom the whole time.
You been Zooming?
I
You
have
go,
been.
girl.
Do you have any questions for me?
Martha, thank you so much, and thank
Thank
you for
you.
what you do, and thank you for what your team does over there. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the recognition of Ms. Pat Stone, who will be coming off of our board. She's unfortunately she was not able to be here tonight, but Ms. Stone has served.
She has served two terms for a
terms.
total of 6 years.
Yeah, and Ms. Stone has been a valuable asset to the DSS board, and we appreciate her service and all the stuff that she's done here, and we're going to miss her greatly. She's somebody that's full of energy. I always enjoy talking with her and working with her, and I guess you've served primarily the whole time with Ms. Pat Stone, hadn't you?
Yeah, we
Sarah?
came in at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to miss her, and Miss Stone, I know you can't be with us, but we appreciate what you've done for us, and Will's going to have a little token of our appreciation when you get back from wherever she's gone. I forgot where she's gone, but
She's at the beach.
at the beach,
I believe
okay.
she's at the beach.
We hope she's safe and doing well. And Sarah, you want to say anything about Miss Stone since you've were the previous chair and worked with her for several years.
Yeah, we, let's see, she's been co-chair for several times with me. Let's see, you came in after we came in, didn't you? Okay. And Trilla, you were already?
You were here when I came,
Okay.
and Pat was here when
Yeah.
I came too.
Pat is very much a deep held person.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, when she gets involved, it's 150%
Absolutely.
and down to it's perfect.
That's right. She's a perfectionist for sure. So I've experienced that recently, but it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy working with her, and like I said, we're going to miss her greatly. So, Will, you've served with her for a while. Would you like to say a few words about Ms. Stone?
I talked to Ms. Stone the other day and just let her know how much that we appreciate her time. When you give 6 years of your life to something, I think that is valuable, and I think that's worthy. And she has always been very committed, and she is not afraid to call if she has questions or concerns. And so I certainly appreciate that. And from a board member, to give 6 years of their life and spend that amount of time serving on this board, I think that is certainly commendable, and I appreciate her service to this county and to the citizens of this community. And I will let you know, we do have a plaque for her. She wasn't able to be here today, and so we have sent that plaque to her just as a part of our thank you to her.
Will she be replaced in July?
We will have a new board member coming on in July, and then we will have another one coming on in August when Sarah leaves.
Would you like to say anything about Ms. Stone while we're here?
Well, I worked with her and her husband both. You see,
Yeah.
I was here when he was county commissioner. and
That's
board
right.
member, so, yeah, I've enjoyed working with both of them.
Yeah. Iris, anything?
I've also enjoyed working with Pat. She is very detail oriented, and she is such a wonderful person just in general. She's a good person, and she cares about the citizens and everybody in general.
Yeah, I think, she's one of these people that from time to time, you don't see very much these days. She's one of these that I think Ms. Sarah mentioned that when she takes on a task, I mean, she's 150% committed, and there's nothing going to stop her from finishing that task. I don't care what it is.
Right.
She will get it done. She's the type of lady that if you want somebody to help you get something done, call Ms. Stone, because she will definitely get it done for you. So, again, Ms. Stone, you can't be here. We appreciate what you do, and thank you for your service to this board and to the citizens of this county. Our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, July 28th at 5 o'clock here at the Alden East Orange Building. Here we are, same place we are today. As long as nothing changes between now and then, we will be back here. So anybody got any questions or comments before we close out? I want to say, and Will and Martha, you're here, and we don't get a chance to see our DSS employees or our county employees as much as we'd like to. But I want to take a moment just to thank you guys and thank them. And please go back and let them know how much we appreciate what they do every day, because this has been, the last 3 or 4 months has been pretty challenging. And we've had to overcome a lot of obstacles, and we've had to learn, we've had to change the way our life, how we live our life and our lifestyle, and we've had to change the way we work every day. So it's been a lot to take in such a short amount of time, and we kind of did it. It sort of happened overnight. I mean, one day it was normal, the next day it wasn't normal. So it's been a big challenge, and I know that we've had some employees that have really struggled with the challenge and the change, and I think everybody seems to kind of have their head around it now. But just please take back our appreciation for what they do, because I know it's been a lot. I mean, I know where I work it's been a lot, but I can't imagine being in public service and doing what they do every day and having to deal with it. So we appreciate what they do and appreciate what you guys do and your leadership there. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
That's second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.